Hello, friends. Welcome to Conversations with Deepak. Across seminars, it is being said that home improvement is a good thing, that home improvement as a concept is a must have and not just a good to have, and that marketeers have discovered, particularly during the lockdown and during the pandemic, that our customers want ergonomic furniture, they want happier interiors, and they want more effective and more organized kitchens. The old saying has also been confirmed loud and clear that families that eat together, that cook together, stay together. It seems that we are not yet live. Nevertheless, I think in a few seconds we'll uh, get there for those of us who are watching us on YouTube on the Franke Faber channel. So, friends, what is the role that kitchen appliances play in making our homes more comfortable, our kitchens more effective, and our customers happier at the end of the day? What are the nuances of this business? What are the growth drivers? What is the impact that COVID has had or might have on this industry? All these we need to understand as entrepreneurs, as investors, and as professionals involved in this industry. To get a deep dive into what's happening in the kitchen appliances business, I am honored to have a very seasoned professional who spent about 11 years at Kansai Nerolac, the paints major, and another 11 years at Whirlpool of India, the appliances major. And for the past 5 years, he has been leading the kitchen specialist company, Franke Faber India Limited. Friends, my guest today is Puneet Gupta, Managing Director of Franke Faber India. Hello, Puneet. Welcome to Conversations with Deepak.
Pardon, Deepak. Thank you. Thank you for a nice introduction.
How are you doing?
All well, all well. In office, busy for Diwali season.
Oh, wonderful. So you are already on an optimistic note.
Yeah, we have been optimistic since I would say July, mid of July, when the lockdown regime almost seemed over, and so far our predictions and forecasts seems to be working well. And yes, we are absolutely optimistic.
So are you back functionally 100% in terms of manpower, in terms of the use of your assets?
Okay, so what happened was that from June we are operational like most of the brands. Uh, in our plant, unfortunately, we had to face COVID and real hard ones. We got about 38 cases, and even in my Gurgaon office where I am based at, we had about 16 cases. But fortunately, all the people have recovered, all the 54. And now, from a manpower standpoint, yes, we are fully operational. From supply chain perspective, when it comes to my Pune plant and also some imports that we do, both for components as well as the finished goods, there have been issues, and we have been struggling to meet the requirements. But with each passing day, we are trying to iron out all the issues, and seems to be all good now, all good.
Great, good to hear that. So if we come to the most fundamental question, what has been the impact of COVID-19 on the kitchen appliances industry?
So I think before I get into the COVID part, let's understand this kitchen industry per se, how it has moved in the last few years. The way I look at it is fairly simple. That it all started. It was this industry per se was started by us as Faber way back in 1996, and let's say from 1996 to about 2010, it was a monopoly brand, and we were enjoying roughly about 70 to 100% market share from geography to geography. And perhaps at that point in time, we were okay with the kind of growth we were getting and the kind of margins we were making. And therefore, we really did not make a huge attempt to expand the market per se, both in terms of our actions, advertising, promotion, and also the channel partners. It was, if I have to draw a parallel, I would go back to early 90s, as in when the ACs were launched in India, air conditioners. It were all sold by SSD, some small sales and service dealers, and it never went to the electronic stores. And if someone wanted to buy AC, he had to have a desire. Then he needed to find a place, and then he used to buy. Slowly, I think once the couple of Koreans came in and they expanded the market, it started to boom. Similarly, in our industry, since last, I would say, 10 years or so, when almost all global brands came in, Faber also realized that there is some competition going, and since then, everybody put together has tried to expand the market. So as a result, what has happened in the last 10 years is that I think the industry has been growing decently at about 15% CAGR, which is a good number to begin with. While if you look at the potential, I would bet that the number should be more than 25% going forward. For obvious reasons, that the penetration level of the kitchen appliances, and right now when I'm talking about kitchen appliances, I'm talking about the basic appliances called hoods, is fairly low. And while the electrification has gone into B towns, C towns, D towns, people are moving more towards westernized trends. People are wanting to invest more into their homes and kitchens, and make their homes as heavens, as people say. Given all this, I think the growths ought to be much higher. Just to give you a better understanding, we did a very exhaustive survey, research basically, across 6 cities in the country, and quite a startling data came in that about 20 between 20 to 25% of people who own a Mercedes or a BMW and or a iPhone, expensive stuff, right? Did not even have a chimney at home. Now, what does it tell us? It tells us that this category was not seen as a necessity, was not seen as a luxury, and therefore it was some hanging between both the dimensions of how a product is normally seen. Now, the fact remains that actually speaking, a hood, ideally speaking, is a necessity. If you look at the health, and now when people are looking more, and now come the role of COVID. Now, when people are realizing the importance of health and what all can be done to avoid the most commonly used word, immunity crisis, the smoke in the kitchen actually causes about 60% of asthma cases in India. Now, if you don't have a hood at home, while affordability is never an issue, it starts with about 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, so all kind, and it goes up to 2 lakhs. So if you have to go toward the luxury access, you can obviously go in for the super premium stuff that we have. And on the basic part, 7,000, 10,000 is not affordability issue. It was just about awareness issue. It was just about people seeing the product on the shop floor, and then maybe impulse taking over, or better sense taking over, and the role of advertising coming into place. Now, what has happened with COVID, which we have seen in the last 3-4 months, there seems to be a scampering of people wanting to buy our products for, I think, two reasons. One is the media and the general awareness about health, smoke, pollution, etc. And second is, since people have started to spend more time at home, and there, and now a controversial topic, though people are saying the economy is down and salaries have gotten cut and etc. But the also remains the fact that ours is a low penetrated category, and we're only talking about the top 7, 8, 10% as of now of the POPs data. There, the spend levels have come down. There is no foreign travel, there is no cinema halls, there is no eating out. So there suddenly seems to be a very high amount of dispensable income with people on one hand, and on the other hand, when they feel that they are spending time at home, they need to build the home in the best possible manner, and that is where our products have started to play a big role. And I think post COVID, I would see the growth levels from 15% going upwards towards maybe mid 20s for the industry.
So, when you talk of kitchen appliances, are hoods the only major category that affects our lifestyle and will see growth, or are there other categories as well?
Yeah, so good question. So okay, so we are into hoods. We are into hobs. Last 4 years, we have done cooktops, which is the chula, as we say. We are into built-in appliances, and in all these categories that I just mentioned, we are at a leadership stance. And then we have also gotten into other adjacent categories which are predominantly driven by the kitchen, and therefore it made sense for our brand to get into. Now, what are those categories? The RO water purifier is there, dishwashers is there, and now water heaters are there, and we are also getting into small appliances in the next 1 month or so. So when I talk about penetration, I was basically referring to the hoods and hobs per se to begin with, as that's the basic appliance as we see, other than the cooktop, because of course cooktop is equal to the number of kitchens that one has. But other than, the next step is what? It could be RO water purifier, it could be a hood, because that's for water and this is for air. So if you look at our concept, we talk about safer with power, and it talks about air, water, and fire. So all three is something that we work on for the safety of the lady of the house.
What role is the dishwasher play?
So dishwasher is something that we were selling only as a part of our built-in product proposition for last 10 years or so. But obviously with COVID, like all, we also saw upsurge and people wanting to move towards dishwashers, and we had to up our plans, and not only up our plans in terms of sales for this period, but because we have a very strong R&D team working behind all our product ranges. So we have strategically started to work on a theme wherein we will be among the top 3 brands by the end of next year. So now dishwashers is something which will become almost a essentiality for a particular pop strata, and that's something that we believe we have a right to win. So
Because
we're coming up with lots of innovations in dishwashers, and hopefully in the next 3-4 months we'll see a bigger range than what we have. And by the way, incidentally, today also we have about 9 models, which is one of the largest and the most exhaustive dishwasher range in the country.
uh, you had mentioned earlier that there has been a significant transformation in the company over the last 5 years. What kind of a transformation were you referring to? What has changed at Franke Faber?
Okay, in around 2015 or so, for whatever some internal and some external reasons, we were not doing well on the financials part of it, and we were not only were we making losses, but the accumulated losses were quite large, and it had almost eaten up the entire capital. And that's a time that we all regrouped, and along with our Swiss partners, we worked on a definitive plan to make India really big. And since then, I think our journey started. We corrected the market, we corrected the product portfolio, we invested behind the brand, we did a lot of capital investment. We do sell a lot of sinks under the brand name Franke. We did a lot of investment in our Aurangabad plant as well. And the result is that in now, after 5 years, I would say that not only are we the market leaders, not only are we the fastest growing brand, not only are we the only brand who's getting into more and more and more categories today with pace. We are from a debt company. We are now debt free, and we have a decent amount of cash reserves with us. And we do have definitive plans of investing about 100 crores as capex in the next 3 years. And I think this all is going to be internal accruals. So our bad days are over.
To hear that. Franke and Faber, these are two brands. I think Franke is a Swiss brand and Faber is an Italian brand. What do these two brands represent?
So firstly, there are 2 brands, but the company is actually Franke, because Franke bought Faber globally. The acquisition happened about 15 years back, and now globally it's Franke and Faber wherever they are. And we also, incidentally, in India, we also have a third brand called Eurodome. So all 3 brands are there, and in terms of pure imagery, I would say there is really not a very big overlap as of now, because Franke is more into, when I talk from India perspective, it is more into sinks, and sinks we are clear undisputed number one across the world, both in terms of quality and whatever we do in Franke. Our concept, our tagline is make it wonderful. So it has got to be nothing but better than the best that we work on Franke. On Faber, yes, we are number one as far as appliances are concerned globally. We are a brand who's ready to offer all kinds of we are a brand which has a proposition for all kinds of people. So from mass to mass premium to premium, and we globally do specialize in air products. Now, what is air product? Is primarily hoods as we speak. A couple of more products to come in. But in India, because Faber is such a strong brand that it actually compelled us to get into more and more categories. And the categories that I mentioned are actually speaking unique to India.
So, in terms of revenues, which is the dominant brand?
Of course, Faber is about 80% of our company's turnover.
You say
While
that.
Franke, because it's in sinks, it is and there is actually speaking no competition to Franke sinks in our country. But the fact remains, because of the issues we had in real estate in the last 3-4 years, and now with COVID, there is a challenge in terms of growth numbers per se. But as we say, the future is absolutely bright because we have invested tons of money on innovation, and a new two new lines are there now, and we're just waiting for some kind of a normalcy to come in real estate, and then one would see the numbers going through the roof.
You say you are a specialist. Traditionally, you've been a specialist in the business of hoods, the chimneys. So, what unique innovations have happened at Faber over the years, and now what is keeping you ahead of the market?
A very good question. The entire brand ethos is built around the innovation and creativity, and the innovation and creativity is not something which is technology driven only for the sake of marketing jugglery. It is based basically on the consumer proposition. So just to name a few of the propositions that we worked out in the last few years, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a very strong R&D team in our Pune plant, independent plant wherein we can seek whatever information that we have, that we require from our Italy and Switzerland team. Nonetheless, what we created over here was, firstly, I would talk about something called a 3D chimney that we launched. It was with a T2S2 technology, which is a patented technology. It was conceived in India, researched in India, and now produced in India and exported out of India as well. So it's the only chimney ever to have been made anywhere in the world with the 3 suction module. So wherein there is no scope of smoke to escape and it comes back. So in terms of what chimney is supposed to deliver, the innovation is built around the core proposition of the product category itself, and it is not a gimmickry of sorts where we just put a screen or we put a button. So that's something that we work on, but that's not the true innovation that we work on. That was one. Then there were a couple of more before we got into the big one. We have a twin oven with 2 separate convection systems for cooking 2 different dishes simultaneously. Then we got into RO water purifier, wherein we talk about 2500 TDS, wherein nobody else does it, because we use perhaps the world's best purifier coming from USA. Then we also got into some innovation in aesthetics, black stainless steel. That's something new, and we have the entire built-in appliance range in that as well. And then came the big one, which was last year. It's called 3D aerostation chimney. Now that's a chimney which I would say we were ahead of the curve, because this pollution thing came in a bit later, and now with the COVID, even more awareness about the pollutants of the smoke of cooking comes into play. Now this is a unique chimney where it has a 3D vent, which is 3-way suction. Then it has an air purifier, and third, which is the most interesting piece, it has an inbuilt fan in it. So when the lady of the house or the maid is cooking, normally you cannot switch on the fan for obvious reasons, because the flame gets disturbed. Now here it's like a vent wherein you can adjust, and when you are cooking, the airflow is bang on your face or wherever you want on your part of your body, while cooking without disturbing the flame. And the air that comes out is obviously air purified. So that's called 3D aerostation. So that's been our I would say our latest innovation. And then, as I said, in sinks we have also come up with the R0, which is a radius 0 kind of a square sinks. Now, when you have a sink, there is the edges are built in such a manner that there is no dirt, there is nothing that can stick onto it, and it's absolutely world class. So much so that now we are talking about exporting our sinks to US and Canada, in Franke itself, Franke World, out of our Aurangabad plant. So these are few of them which have already hit the market. Then there are few of them which are going to hit the market in the next 2, 3, 4 months in the new categories that we are talking about. We're coming up with some super innovation in juicer mixer grinders. We're coming up with innovations in geysers. We're coming up in innovations in dishwashers, as I mentioned, and of course chimneys, which is our bread and butter. There is at least some 6, 7 projects on which we are working, and probably in the next 1 or 2 years, one will see even more coming.
You you had so many innovations in the product side, the product development side. Have you looked at the way appliances are being sold in the market, and have you tried to innovate that aspect of the business?
Yes. So again, I think a very very pertinent question, and that's one of our success roots. Uh, Two ways. One, as I said, moving from pure SSDs, which are only those sellers who were earlier selling modular kitchens. They were the ones who were selling appliances, and more or less the kitchen was restricted around them. While they were growing at 10, 15, 20%, but that's not what we wanted. So we moved the channel per se to different kind of stores. What different kind of stores? As in the electronic stores. Let's say people like Reliance, people like Chroma, people like various chain stores, normal mom and pop electronic stores, wherein we got to begin with, we got only about 5 feet, then it went 10 feet, then it went 20 feet running, and then we got into bigger areas. People coming to these stores, even for buying something like a refrigerator or a AC or a washing machine, when they look at the kitchen built shop in shop, the desire comes into play, and that logic of necessity and luxury comes into play, and it started moving. That's where the explosion happened, let's say about 3 years back. Then we thought that while space is always a constraint, and the big chain stores, for obvious reasons, cannot devote the kind of space that we need, we decided to invest into something called platinum stores. Now, platinum stores is an exclusive, absolute class kind of a store. And the first store that we opened was in August or September of 2018, so just about 2 years back. And seeing the response, now it's typically speaking uh, about 2,500 square feet that we started with as a concept, and in the next 24 months to now, which is now, we have gone in, and now we have about 62 platinum stores running, and about 7, 8 of them we are investing in. Now people come here, spend time, and now with more and more categories coming in, they get the best possible experience. I would say best experience anywhere in the world is what we offer through these 62 stores, and that is where the game has changed. And as we speak, we are moving at an average of about 4 to 5 stores a month, which means by maybe 2021 end, we'll be crossing about 150 numbers, and internally we have a plan of taking this number to 300 in probably 2 years from now. These were the platinum stores, and then there were some smaller stores which are called galleries, which are exclusive stores, maybe not as big as a platinum store, and therefore they are ones who are not able to display all our ranges the way we would want, but yet there is a sense of exclusivity, and there is a sense of way the customers are handled. So those numbers are about 300 as we speak, and the plan is to take them to 1,500 in again 2 years parallelly along with platinum stores. So from a channel access, if you look at it, what happened was from specialist to mom and pop stores of electronic stores to galleries to platinum stores, and now has come in e-commerce. So the entire plethora of how one can define channel in our country is now covered by us, and that perhaps is the reason that we have been able to grow 4 times in the last 5 years on top line, and we have an absolute come what may kind of a plan of doing 2,000 crores by 2025.
So just coming back to your platinum stores, uh, you mentioned it's all about experience here. So is the setup over there a kitchen setup, or is this just an array of appliances?
Both, because I said normally the platinum stores are big enough and they would have couple of kitchen setup, and then of course we have the entire range because our range is really huge. Actually speaking, do you know, I would need about 12,000 square feet to display all my product range. Now, obviously, 12,000 square feet is a luxury which we don't want to afford right now. But yes, if you come into a store, you would not only start to love our products, but you will experience the product and you would want to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe 6 or maybe 7 products, because the range now is exhaustive. So so we say that you want to change your home to Faber home, we are available. So your kitchen would become Faber kitchen.
So these platinum stores are all dealer owned or franchise owned. What is the model here?
All of them. So we have our trade partners, dealers, who would take the place either on rent or whichever way, and then we'll support them to whatever maximum possible extent in terms of doing some kind of the entire done up of the store is done by us, because we have a exclusive interior designer across the country, so that there is commonality in terms of touch and feel, and visual language is similar. So we make the entire stuff, and we do sign up for a couple of years or whatever is the deal with these gentlemen, and that's how it works.
And you said about 2,500 is usually the size of the store.
Yes, but now we are realizing that because of the kind of experience customer is loving, we are also opening up smaller versions of the platinum stores.
Oh, okay. How small would that be?
About 1,500, 1,300. Also, we have few of the stores in this square feet. See, as we evolve, and now as I said that if we have designed 60 plus stores and we are moving into another set of 50, our design team has also worked out mechanics of exploiting space even better. So we are learning to get more out of the same space without really compromising on the customer experience.
So you have grand plans of touching about 2,000 crores, you said, by 2025. And for that, the importance of your distribution network or your channel network cannot be underplayed. Correct me if I'm wrong. The only way you can reach your goals is by having a very robust sales channel, the retail channel. So, which means that experience and customer engagement are going to be prime factors in success. How do you make sure that your retail channel remains strong, that your channel partner remains loyal to you?
So good question again. I think while of course when we talk about numbers, it's all about dealers, it's all about channel, and therefore where the actual point of sales happen. But I would take a step back and I would define it in a manner that our as leaders, our job is to expand the market. So when I say expand the market, my challenge or my competitors are not the typical competitors as one would see. So I'm not talking about people like Glenn, CAF, Elika. So while all of us are put together forming a part of the industry, but I think jointly the importance is to get more money out of the wallet of the consumer. And if you expand the market, of course everyone gains and the market leader gains the most. So in our case, our attempt is to expand the market. Therefore, even if you look at our ad campaigns, the way we have designed, unlike the previous times when the industry used to just speak about the discounts, we have been talking about some concept which touches the heart of the consumer. We spoke about our campaign for 2 years, which talked about quit smoking in the kitchen. Now it's a self-explanatory concept. You don't need to talk much. Then and then it was aided by the product. So when you see a 3D product, whether it's an 8-year-old kid or an 80-year-old lady, moment she saw the 3D with the extra vent, the smoke escapes and goes into it, it was well understood. And therefore, the utility of our product was better understood by the consumer, which has led to the market growth. So having said that, this is on the marketing piece on the consumer side. On the sales side, yes. So we have increased our sales force by about 3 times in the last 5 years. And even during COVID times, when people were talking about sacking people, even in our industry, or cutting salaries, we were doing a couple of things. One, we were realigning our responsibilities in a manner that we could harness our talent even more for future. So that's a part of our inherent culture of growing talent within, on one hand. And on the other hand, we were busy picking up talent from the marketplace, because we know and we always had that firm conviction in us that tomorrow the growth is going to come back and it's going to come back with a vengeance. So we need to be prepared. So that's on the team side. On the trade partner and the loyalty part, I would say we have been very fortunate. We have old dealers, distributors with us, absolutely loyal, and we take them as an extended family on one hand, and on the other, that we believe in growth, inclusive growth. So when I'm talking about inclusive growth, the growth that the organization does is not complete if the employees have not grown with the company, if the trade partner has not grown with the company. We do not believe, unlike many, I would not want to name companies, but there are companies who would want to grow irrespective of whether the partner grows or not. वो बोलते हैं हिंदी में डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर काटा दूसरा बनाया and move ahead. So we don't believe in that. We believe in joining hands for long. It's a marriage of sorts. So when it's a marriage of sorts, and if that's the internal concept to the sales team, with the support of the marketing on one hand, on the product development on the other, what do? You simply excel in the structure that you have and continue to expand. And when I'm saying expand is into new categories, expansion is into new geographies, expansion is into new channels, expansion is into new platinum stores. So all these four new, as I say, is the reason for our growth. Now on loyalty part, the other very, very important point which plays a very distinct role in where we are today is our service setup. We have about 1,500 service engineers as we speak, and we have about 250 service centers, and that's our strength. While I think you've been covering durables for long, you realize that obviously even one paint customer is something that's not nice to have. But the fact of the matter remains that because of the sheer size and scale of business and number of customers that we have, there will be some of them. But the objective is very clear that 99% of the customers got to give us 5 on 5. Now that's our stated objective, and I dare say that we are very close to it. Now that's something where we move much faster than the others, because setting up our service setup in a huge vast country that we have is extremely difficult. Now that's something that we have excelled over the years. And another very small anecdote which will tell you, it has been done because of necessity more than any strategy per se. In India, if you go and research, 6 out of 10 appliances that you would find are ours, for a very simple reason that from 1995 to 2010, we had a virtually speaking a monopoly of 100% share. So when we have such a big, large customer base across the country, you have to, even if you sell or not, you have to service these appliances. And so when you look at it all together, from expanding the market to getting the channel network done, to having loyalists, to having set of employees, hand-picked, chosen employees. By the way, we do not have any placement consultant. We have not had a single placement in our organization through a consultant, I would say. Maybe barring 1 or 2 here and there. The rest of the guys is all hand-picked, chosen, all referral, and we pick specific guys with a certain bent of mind, and all of them are work together. Now, and you are aided with super marketing, advertising, with a reason, and service setup. I think growth cannot go anywhere but come back to us.
You talked about treating your channel partners as an extension of family. At the outlet level, at the channel partner level, how are you fostering that relationship on a one-to-one basis? How are you supporting? Sometimes the channel partner might not be doing well.
Might not
be doing well.
Yeah.
Be more impressed by other brands. There might be so many other reasons. So what happens then? Do you start looking for another partner?
See, I'll tell you something what I have learned in my 27 years of experience. Whether it's an employee or it's a trade partner, nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to not do well. So if someone is not doing well, whether it's an employee, vendor, or a dealer, there has to be a reason behind it. Now, if you do a proper root cause analysis, unless of course, because we are talking about business, unless of course the trade partner does not, we really can't help. Otherwise, I see no reason for a trade partner to not do well with a company like ours, because we are true to ourselves, right? We walk the talk. We are absolutely fair to the trade partner. So when I am fair to the trade partner, I am a market leader. The consumer picks me up. The movement is not an issue. I am growing. My team has a mindset of growth, is ready to work hard. I see no reason for a trade partner and us breaking relationship, unless of course there is something which is beyond control, which is hardcore money. So there are some exceptions. I would not say that we have been moving with the same set of partners across the country. There have been few unfortunate breakups, so to say, but I would say that's far lower than anyone else in our industry.
So you mean to say within the company you have a very large focus on management of trade partners? That
Yes,
is a
yes.
strategy function.
Absolutely. So fairness. So fairness is the basic integrity tenet on which I think we work on. And I think a distributor, what does a distributor want? He wants someone on whom he can have faith, who's clean in their accounts, who delivers what he commits, and the material that he gives me sells. Now, if I'm able to do all the four, there isn't any reason. As I said, everyone comes to office to do well. Have you ever met anyone who wants to come to the office to fail? Similarly, I have not met a dealer in my life who wants to open a store in the morning and with the purpose of not doing well. So if the intent is there and you have a support from a team like ours, I think success is almost guaranteed.
What new product categories do you plan to get into?
So, as I said, on dishwashers, it's a newer It's not a new category, but yes, relatively, it's a category on which we have started to focus relatively lately, I would say. And now we already have a large range, and we are also coming up with a TV ad campaign starting tomorrow. We are also working on innovation with a clear mandate that next year, from being actually speaking nowhere in the country to being in the top three by next year Diwali. So if that's the purpose, if that's the stated objective, the team is aligned. I think we should be near. The other entire story which COVID has brought is something called health and sanitation. Now, in health and sanitation vertical, we have launched 3-4 products already, and so far the results are mind-boggling. So we have a dispenser, automatic dispenser for sanitizers. That's something which we were unable to give to supply to the market to the desired levels. Then we have a fruit and vegetable ozone-based cleaner, which is again doing superbly, the need of the hour. It's a high-tech product available at absolute what do I say, affordable price. Now that's something that we are going to make it really big. And then we have few more products in the same health and sanitation vertical that we are about to launch in probably before Diwali itself. Then the kitchen appliances, the rest of them, as I said, which is the small appliances. It's about a month away from us, and the entire project has got delayed because of COVID. And there we are talking about almost a comprehensive range. All the products will come with some kind of, let's say, Faber quality assurance, and also with some kind of a innovation around them. That's one. On RO water purifier, as I said, and I say it with pride, that there is no RO in the country who can compete with us in terms of quality, in terms of service that we deliver. And we have been doing decently well. We should be in the top three recalled brands again by next year, as I see. Just remember, there are about 60 brands, organized brands. So we have to do away with 57 of them to come, because we are perhaps one of the last entrant to have gotten into this race. But because it is built on product, it is built on some kind of a innovation which is consumer compelling as such from a proposition point of view. We are confident to be among the top 3-4 recalled brand by next year. May not be on volumes for sure, but on recall it will be. Exports is something that again we are talking about much bigger business than what we have been doing. So be it a Nepal or a Sri Lanka or a Bangladesh to start with as neighboring countries, or even in Europe we talk about Spain and we talk about Italy also. There we are also getting into platinum store. So we already have a platinum store in Nepal, and there will be two more before the month of January that we'll be opening. And similarly in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, we sell a lot of sinks as well as Faber appliances. So there we would want to grow even further. And on our routine bread and butter, where we are leaders today, which is hobs, hoods, built-ins, the objective is to further strengthen ourselves.
So what kind of capex is being planned?
Capex, as I said, now there is no issue of capex per se. It is about planning. So 100 crores is something that we have in mind. Whether it will happen in 2 or 3 years is something that we'll have to work on. And we are also actively, as always, because Franke believes in acquisitions. So we also have an eye open for any kind of acquisition which would make sense for us.
You have mentioned that you are also looking at export markets. Now, how easy is it for, or difficult is it to address the European and the American export markets with Indian products?
See, when it comes to American and European markets, we are fortunate that we really don't have to sell. We just have to supply because it's an internal transfer that we do. So our teams out there as Franke teams, they do the selling part. So it is about being an OEM to my own company, because we have 70 companies, different companies, identities in the world across 104 countries. So there is some kind of a scope available somewhere. For example, someone would need RO, someone would need cooktops, sinks for sure. The square sink that we are making in India will go. Hopefully tomorrow water heaters might go. The health and sanitation products might go. So we just need to give our proposition to our own teams, and then it starts to move on its own.
So Puneet, you are in an industry that seems to be running to stay in the same place because you are driven by technology. There's a lot of pressure on marketing and on enhancing customer experience, managing the loyalties of your dealers. What challenges, what is your largest challenge as a leader?
Challenge, I think, is though it's a theoretical challenge, because practically I don't see that happening in my team. Is how do I define it? Is about people getting satisfied with the growth of 50%. Now I'm being absolute pinpointing it to the number story as such. Because when you go out in the market, when you see the retail, when you talk about competitors and you find that people are growing at 5, 10, 15, 20%, there is a natural element of, I was not wanting to use the word, but complacency. The chances of complacency might just come in the entire team, whether it is back end, whether it is front end, whether it is innovation, that's one fear that can possibly, theoretically speaking, be something that I would want to address. Though, as I mentioned, the entire organization per se is at a different momentum, and the passion to win is at extreme level. So I really don't see it practically happening, but yes, that's something one can really think of.
What kind of a culture are you building here? Of course, you did mention that there should be passion, but uh, I would still ask, what kind of a culture are you building here in order to ensure there is sustainability in the organization in terms of leadership?
Okay, so I think this question has come up a couple of times earlier also in various media interactions, as well as with our Switzerland partners, as to how do we manage to get. So there is AO Hewitt. There is this AO Hewitt who does the engagement survey across the world, and we got about 94% marks within Franke Group, and that was first. Number two was 65. So how is it that people are engaged to the level they are? And my answer is, and we also got this Great Place to Work certification award, virtually speaking, on our own. So my answer to that is very simple, that we really do not take employees and employees. All employees are partners of sorts. And when they are partners of sort, what is the basic difference between partnership and employees? The basic difference is that partners can take risk, employees cannot. So what we have done over here is we want people to act with no fear of failure. So which means when there is no fear of failure, I am ready to take losses, hits, failures on the face of it. So this encourages people to take risk, act entrepreneurial, and find ways to move ahead with speed. Now, what I have seen is that when you have passionate people without a fear of failure, the resultant is super. Creativity, it is creativity is at its very best. Accountability of all employees, because they have done it on their own, is obviously as much as of the owners per se of any normal guy. So if you look at the culture around the organization, it's about people wanting to win, people wanting to do stuff which more than what they have been asked for, because they believe they all of them are partners. That's one. And B is the typical issue, especially of a growing organization, is, and even large organizations where I have worked, let's say Whirlpool or earlier in their life, is about the politics, or let me say the rift between departments. Now here we have come up with a concept of internal customer centricity. So because of which what happens is that everybody is an internal customer to someone. So when you are an internal customer to someone, that someone's job is to deliver and make the customer happy. The way a sales guy is supposed to make a dealer, as we spoke about how we manage our distributor and dealer. Similarly, The production guy is supposed to take care of the sales guy. The R&D team is supposed to take care of the production guy. And similarly, finance guy and HR guy, who is central to all, is supposed to be taking care of everyone. So once you get into this internal customer centricity with no risk, no fear of failure, I think the culture is something that one can really love.
So, in effect, you are saying that you are not putting your people in a race to be the best, that whoever is the best is the most preferred person. And everyone is good, everyone can move at their own pace, but they should and they should do it passionately.
Yes, I would say yes to a large extent, but there is always important point. हिंदी में समझाने वाली बात है, खरबूजे को देख खरबूजा रंग बदलता है. So when you see 5 people in a room giving their 120%, a sixth guy maybe by nature he is not that passionate, or maybe by nature he doesn't want to excel that much. So when he sees the environment around him working in the way it is, I normally would want to believe, and I have seen people who were kind of written off earlier have excelled, and actually more than excelled, and competed with the best in the company.
Wonderful.
So as I said, I am a firm believer that nobody wants to fail in life.
Yes, yes.
Who would want to be rated number 5, number 4, number 7, number 8 in a group of 8 people? No one. Everybody wants to be number 1. So if you want to be number 1, you will have to work for number 1. Provided the atmosphere is amenable and there is no risk of failure.
So as a leader, that calls for a lot of patience.
I think I have been lucky enough. I have got a team which is perhaps better than the best that I could have dreamt of. So 5 years back when I joined the organization, if at that time you would have asked me that how do you see 15th of October 2020, you write on a piece of paper, I perhaps surely could not have written things that we have achieved so far. I could not have. Similarly, when I talk about 2025, I am saying 2,000 crores to you. Mark my words, the team says it's going to exceed that.
Wow. Well, what else do you want if you are powered by such a fantastic team, a passionate team?
As I said, I've been extremely lucky to have a team like such.
Well, I wish you all the best and wish your team. And I think it's all about loyalty and followership at the end of the day.
True.
Who follows you and who stays with you and who takes you on, who takes you forward as a leader.
True.
Because I read somewhere there was a huge crowd and one person at the back, he said, I am the leader, I have to follow them. So
True.
that's true leadership.
True. So I would want to act like a coach who's sitting back, ready to act if and when required. But if the team is ready and is performing well, I would rather sit and relax and not finger around here and there.
Well, thanks a lot. But before I end, there is one question of one of our audience, which I want to put to you. It's a long question, but basically he says is that dealers often sell appliances on very low margins. How do you ensure that competition between your own dealers is managed properly?
So it's a very good question. If this question were to be asked in probably 2025, because as I see, next 5 years, the margins of our industry are still going to be much higher than the adjacent categories or the durable space per se. For obvious reason, because the scale and size of the industry is smaller. The distribution, however faster and we move on, we are still not going to be a television in terms of distribution in the next 5 years. We will not be available in, let's say, 1,200 shops in south of Delhi. So therefore the competition is going to be much lesser on one axis, and on the other axis there are people who are into exclusive stores, platinum stores. There the kind of service, the kind of mix that they are going to sell, they will not be selling the absolute mass. They will not only be selling the mass product, where obviously the percentage margins are going to be lower. So as you move on to the higher mixed product, even if the percentage margin is lower, the absolute ticket size being higher, you make a decent sum of money. So in fact, on the contrary, today when we go and we approach a new guy or a new store who has never sold our material, our selling story is higher percentage margin, higher ROI, and a rosy future in terms of growth.
Thanks for this, and thanks again for joining me on Conversations with Deepak. I know you're in a hurry, but somehow this conversation continued because of the great insights that you are sharing. And I am really confident that our audience would have benefit from joining us here.
Thank you. So we'll meet when we do 1,000 crores. Then we are going to meet when we do 2,000 crores. So next two appointments are done.
I'm looking forward to that. Bye bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.